Hello and welcome back. Today we're going to be jumping into how to establish a spawner for your game. Right now, by default, we can only place in the objects at the start of the game, and that's the limit. But we want to be able to have additional objects come in, spawn and chase in our player, and then we later eliminate them. Today we're going to quickly cover how to implement that. We're of course going to first create a new object. Our new object, I call it the O enemy spawner. This object's going to have two events. It will not have a sprite. You can add a sprite if you want to be inspired like how Minecraft spawners work, but it's not necessary. In our create event, we're going to define two variables. The timer, which is how many steps between spawns, and then the buffer, the number of pixels from the edge of the room that your thing can spawn within. And so remember, steps between spawns, we go at 60 frames per second, so 60 steps per frame, or 60 steps per second. In this case, I want 3 seconds between spawns, so 180. And this is just pixels. You then turn on timer 0, or alarm 0, for 180 steps. In alarm 0, you will have the following code. Your X spawn value, it's a random number between what our buffer is and the room width minus buffer. Same thing for our Y spawn. Y spawn is simply our buffer up to room height minus buffer. With these two elements, we now have a random X and a random Y value. We then will create a new instance with instance create depth at this X value and this Y value, and at -1. Doesn't really matter the location of this, but -1 would be best if you do decide to include a spawn sprite and then your enemy object. I call mine the Goliath. Yours might be called O enemy object, object enemy, whatever you have. And then it just spawns in. We then turn the timer back on so that way this event can occur again. And so with that, we can now make sure that we have our alarm set up. Then we can run our program, and based off of those variables, we'll now have a functioning spawner for our game. Oh yes, and don't forget to move the spawner object into the room. It doesn't matter where it is in the room, so long as it is in the room. It'll begin spawning once you get to the first alarms being activated. Otherwise, that's all I've got for y'all today. Everyone have a good one, and let me know if you have any questions in class.